Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how much exercise do you need, really. So this just totally depends on your body, your mind, your genetics, kind of your goals and what you're trying to achieve. But with that said, everybody needs exercise in their life, whether that's a walk around the block or a run or athleticism, sports. You need to get your heart rate going, and you also need to manage and nourish your muscles. It is very important to do this in life. If you do not do this, you're going to be at a greater risk for disease, medical problems, injury. No matter what scale of exercise you're doing, it is really important that it is part of your life. And I say that because we often hear exercise plans or diet plans that are like 30 days or 2 weeks or 6 months, but really what you need is something that you're going to do forever. And so I'm going to be talking a little bit about how to find motivation to do that if you don't feel it comes naturally to you already in the next video. But for now, I just want to talk about how much is enough exercise. Well, this depends. For me, in order to feel like I have had a good workout, I usually measure that by sweating. So if I can sweat every day, I will feel pretty good about that. But with that said, I do want to try to make sure I hit kind of a full spectrum of exercise. So that means a little balance of walking or running, cardiovascular, getting your heart rate going, mixed with building your muscles. I personally don't really like weightlifting. I've never been one to go to the gym and lift weights. I think it's boring and I don't have the motivation, and I know some people do. I just don't. I've always been a class person. I like to go to a class. I have taught my own classes for the past 10 plus years since I was a teenager. I love the group exercise environment. Whatever you're doing, it's important that you are sweating. Sweating on its own releases toxins in your body, makes you feel better. So just doing that alone, even if it's 15 minutes, is really good for you. So no matter where you are in a fitness journey, I would say the best thing to do is just get started. So if that means once a week, then do once a week. And after a few months of doing once a week, you can do twice a week. And what you'll find is that the more you exercise, the more you want to exercise and the better that you feel. So you might do twice a week and that might seem challenging, but then you add on 3 and all of a sudden you're kind of at a new level of norm, and then you can do 4, and then you're exercising every day, even if it's a small exercise routine, and you feel really good about it and it's not a chore anymore. So the key is to definitely make it not a chore. So in this series, we're going to do a few classes together at the end, and the important thing to remember is that if you reach your max before I do, then you're good to go. You don't need to keep going. So the key to exercise is to find your max, no matter where you're at, and reach it, and then be excited that you reached it. So it's not about getting a certain goal of 5 miles or 100 push-ups. That doesn't matter. What matters is, did you do your max? And that might be 5 push-ups, and that's really exciting. And then the next day, maybe you try 6. So it's celebrating those little milestones. According to the Journal of American College of Cardiology, running just 5 minutes per day could add years to your life. Now, to be clear, you'll probably want to exercise more than that, but this study said that over a 15-year period, people who ran just a few times a week, averaging about 5 minutes a day, had about a 30% lower risk of death than people who didn't run at all. People who ran more had even healthier hearts. Also, according to the American College of Sports Medicine, doing 30 minutes of cardiovascular work per day can really affect your mood and just make you happier. Elle Woods from, what's that movie called? Totally blanking on the name. From Legally Blonde said it best, that exercise gives you endorphins and endorphins make you happy. And to add on that, women who did 3 50-minute exercises per week had dramatically increased mood, decreased anxiety, and were more optimistic after doing that routine for a few months. Also, according to a CDC report, only 22.9% of Americans aged 18 to 64 met the requirements for the basic exercise needs in the year 2015. And this is incredibly sad. And if you notice that this statistic also goes with the same statistic of obesity, depression, anxiety, mental illness, physical illness. We have a lot of these issues in our world, and the bottom line is that exercise can prevent help treat so many of those. Now, I want to disclose that I am not a doctor. I do have a training in sports medicine and a lifetime of physical activity, and I am certified to teach in a gym. However, I am not a doctor. I'm not trying to scare you with these stats, but I do want to encourage you that if you want to live a long life and a happy life, exercise has to be part of that. And there is really no excuse not to do it, because even 5, 10, or 15 minutes a day can make a huge difference. Also, I want to make a note that if you are sitting all day, like you're in an office, you're at a computer, you actually should exercise a little bit more, because there's a difference between a day. If you are a mom and you're running around chasing your children, that is going to be a lot more steps in that day, a lot more heartbeats in that day than someone who is at a computer working on a laptop. Now, there is a flip side to that, which is that if you are working in an office, you have some stress usually imposed on you. I know I did when I was working in a corporate office. I would feel exhausted at the end of the day because I was just emotionally exhausted, and that does have an impact on your body, but it's really important to remember that that is not the same thing as physically exhausted. And I actually can testify that I remember a few days when I was working in corporate tax and I was working 40 or 50 hours or more a week, and I would be mentally fried at 5 or 6 at night, but I knew that my body wasn't, and I would go to the gym and I would have so much energy to exert at a class that I didn't really think that I had. And most people would probably have said, I'm too tired to exercise, I'm spent, I've had a stressful day. But the fact is that your body needs to move, even if your mind is telling you that you're too tired. I know it's a little bit tricky, but trust me, if you've ever had an emotionally draining day, you go to the gym or you go into your bedroom and you just move your body, you will actually feel so much better. So the other thing to think about when you think about how much you should be exercising is the intensity of your workouts. So if you're doing a low intensity workout, that would be like walking or maybe jogging or some strength training if you're not using a lot of weights and you're just doing a little, like maybe yoga. So if you're doing that and you're doing that every day, that's really great. But you should at least 1 to 3 times a week do a high intensity workout, and that's something that I consider dripping sweat and breathless. And so that's something where you're, and you're like, whoa, that just got me. And that's what you really want to get at least 1 to 3 times a week. And I want to make a point, if you are new to exercise, that this takes time to develop this habit. So like I said, you would start small and you can layer something in every single week, and it will take about 6 months to get into a routine that you feel is sustainable for you. Exercise is progressive, both physically and emotionally. So you might think going to the gym or lifting a weight or doing any kind of exercise is just something that triggers negativity in your brain. You hear it, the word exercise, and you're like, cringe. And so that means you're gonna have a ways to go to become something that is like, exercise is the most beautiful sound you've ever heard in your ears. So you'll start with something small that feels good, and physically you'll get better at that, and you'll feel the happiness that it brings you, and you'll do more and it will create more happiness, and then you just keep going. So what I would suggest if you are just starting out exercising is to commit to exercise at least 3 times a week. If you want to make it easier, just do every day, because then you know it's not something that's coming up on the calendar like, oh, it's almost Wednesday, I've got to do something on Wednesday. It's, no, every day I do something. And so it could be Monday, it could be a walk. Tuesday, it could be some cardio. And so if you can find a time every day that works, or if you're like me, I just fit it in whenever I can. So I might have a 20-minute pocket of free time, and I just turn on a class and I just go for 20 minutes. And I stop it, I don't finish the class, but that's fine, I did 20 minutes. And it's like, check. And so I think it's easier to say commit every day. So that way, even if you only have 10 minutes, you say, okay, I need to do exercise today. How much time do I have now? 10 minutes? Okay, done. Now with that said, if I had a 10-minute exercise every day, I would get really, that wouldn't be enough for me. So I would probably do a 10-minute if I was really busy on Monday. If Tuesday got really busy and I only got 10 minutes, then Wednesday I would seriously move things around my schedule to make it so I could get an hour. If hopefully that makes sense. So it kind of, you need to add it up over the whole week and make sure you've gotten, I would say, at least 3 hours of good exercise in, breathless, sweating exercise in per week. And one more note is that your cardiovascular training will be progressive. So you might get breathless right now walking around the block. So you need to do that, and that can be your breathless workout. Check. My breathless workout will look different, but just because mine looks different doesn't mean you should do that. So you think about what is breathless to you, what gets your heart rate going, and then that will grow. And so you need to listen to your heart and listen to your body. Our bodies tell us when we're done or when we can do more. Okay, let's move on to the next lesson now, where we're gonna talk about how to find motivation and how to make exercise a part of your life even if you think you don't have time.